ExamPrep.School. Massachusetts Producers Exam for Accident and Health or Sickness Insurance. Exam code SERIES 16-52. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Accident, Health, or Sickness Insurance Basics. Dental Insurance. Disability income and related insurance. Federal tax considerations for health insurance. General insurance. Health insurance plans. Individual accident, health, or sickness policy. Rights. Insurance regulation. Insurance for senior citizens and special needs individuals. Large group health insurance. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Which of the following describes the required form and submission procedure for an initial Massachusetts resident producer license application? A. Obtain a surety bond and include it with the initial application package. B. Enroll in a state-approved prelicensing education course prior to submitting any application materials. C. File a paper application only by U.S. mail. Electronic submissions are not permitted. D. Complete the ENAIC uniform application and submit it with the licensing fee to the Massachusetts Division of Insurance. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is D. The ENAIC uniform application is the standardized form used for initial producer licensing in Massachusetts and must be filed with the required fee to the Division of Insurance. Reason A is not correct. A surety bond is not required when initially applying for a resident producer license. Reason B is not correct. Prelicensing education is not mandatory for resident applicants in Massachusetts. Reason C is not correct. Electronic submission is allowed through approved portals, not mail only. Question 2. Under MGLC 175, Section 162 grams X, what is the minimum age requirement to qualify for a Massachusetts producer license? A. 19 years old. B. 21 years old. C. 16 years old. D. 18 years old. The correct answer is D. Massachusetts law requires that an individual be at least 18 years of age to be eligible for a producer license under MGLC 175, Section 162 grams X. Reason A is not correct. Massachusetts does not set 19 as the entry age for producer licensing. Reason B is not correct. There is no statutory requirement that applicants be 21 years old. Reason C is not correct. The minimum age is higher than 16 under state law. Question 3. A non-resident producer relocating to Massachusetts must submit an application for a Massachusetts license within how many days of establishing legal residence to preserve reciprocity privileges? A. 90 days. B. 60 days. C. 30 days. D. 120 days. The correct answer is A. Massachusetts reciprocity rules require a non-resident producer who becomes a resident to apply for a Massachusetts license within 90 days of establishing legal residence to maintain continuous licensure privileges. Reason B is not correct. 60 days does not meet the statutory timeframe for reciprocity filings. Reason C is not correct. 30 days is shorter than the legally allowed period for reciprocity applications. Reason D is not correct. 120 days exceeds the maximum period permitted for application. Question 4. After passing the Massachusetts Accident and Health Producer examination, Allison obtains a temporary producer license sponsored by Blue Shield. On day 45 of her temporary license period, Blue Shield withdraws its appointment of her. Under Massachusetts regulation, what happens to Allison's temporary license? A. It continues until the commissioner issues a permanent license or denies the application. B. It remains valid until the original 120-day expiration period. C. It remains in effect until a new sponsoring insurer files a notice of appointment. D. It terminates immediately upon withdrawal of the appointment. The correct answer is D. The temporary license is issued based on the sponsoring insurer's appointment and is expressly terminated when that appointment is withdrawn, regardless of the original expiration period or pending permanent license decision. Reason A is not correct. The temporary license does not continue until permanent license action once the sponsoring insurer has canceled the appointment. Reason B is not correct. A temporary license does not remain in effect for the full 120 days if the appointment is withdrawn before that period ends. Reason C is not correct. Once the appointment is withdrawn, the temporary license is terminated. It does not stay active pending a new sponsor's notice. Question 5. Under Massachusetts General Laws, one statutory duty of the Commissioner of Insurance is to A. Set minimum capital and surplus requirements for domestic insurers without legislative approval. B. Conduct examinations of insurers to assess compliance with solvency and market conduct requirements. C. Adjudicate individual policyholder benefit disputes through binding arbitration. D. Approve insurer tax returns filed with the Department of Revenue. The correct answer is B. This duty is explicitly granted by Massachusetts law, which empowers the commissioner to examine insurers' books and records to ensure compliance with solvency standards and market conduct regulations. Reason A is not correct. Capital and surplus requirements are set by statute and cannot be unilaterally imposed by the commissioner. Reason C is not correct. The commissioner does not arbitrate individual claim disputes. That is the role of the courts or private arbitration. Reason D is not correct. Insurers file tax returns with the Department of Revenue, not for approval by the commissioner. Question 6. According to Massachusetts regulations, what is the maximum interval between mandatory full financial examinations of domestic insurers by the Commissioner of Insurance? A. 2 years. B. 3 years. C. 5 years. D. 7 years. The correct answer is B. Massachusetts law requires the commissioner to conduct a full financial examination of every domestic insurer at least once every 3 years to monitor solvency and protect policyholders. Reason A is not correct. 2 years is more frequent than required. The statute specifies a 3-year interval. Reason C is not correct. 5 years exceeds the maximum interval mandated by Massachusetts regulations. Reason D is not correct. 7 years is not permitted by Massachusetts law, which imposes a shorter interval. Question 7. A recently chartered health insurance company in Rhode Island seeks a certificate of authority from Massachusetts to issue sickness policies to Massachusetts residents. Under Massachusetts law, which requirement must be satisfied before the commissioner can grant the certificate of authority? A. Appoint a full-time Massachusetts-based superintendent to oversee its operations. B. Submit all proposed policy forms and rate schedules at least 30 days before their first use. C. Execute an irrevocable appointment of the Massachusetts Commissioner of Insurance as attorney for service of process. D. Demonstrate a reinsurance agreement with a reinsurer domiciled in Massachusetts. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is the irrevocable appointment of the commissioner as attorney for service of process, which is a specific prerequisite for obtaining a certificate of authority. Appointing a resident superintendent is not required. Policy form filings and rate submissions pertain to approval processes after licensure, and the domicile of a reinsurer does not affect the initial certificate requirement. Reason A is not correct. Massachusetts law requires designation of a process agent rather than a resident superintendent position. Reason B is not correct. Advance filing of forms and rates is part of policy approval procedures, not a certificate of authority condition. Reason D is not correct. While financial solvency may involve reinsurance, the reinsurer's domicile does not factor into the certificate issuance prerequisite. Question 8. Under Massachusetts law, misrepresentation in insurance advertising is most accurately defined as which of the following? A. Any false or misleading statement regarding policy dividends, benefits, terms, or financial condition of an insurer. B. Failure to disclose the insurer's financial rating and promotional materials. C. Not revealing the producer's compensation when soliciting an applicant. D. Providing gifts or incentives to prospective insurers to encourage policy purchase. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is a false or misleading statement about policy dividends, benefits, terms, or financial condition, which aligns precisely with the statutory definition of misrepresentation under Massachusetts insurance advertising regulations. Reason B is not correct. Not disclosing an insurer's financial rating is a disclosure requirement breach, but not the statutory definition of misrepresentation. Reason C is not correct. Omitting producer compensation pertains to disclosure rules, not the core definition of misrepresentation in advertising. Reason D is not correct. Offering gifts or incentives to induce purchase constitutes rebating, not misrepresentation in advertising. Question 9. Which of the following practices is expressly prohibited as illegal rebating under Massachusetts insurance statutes? A. Providing a prospective policyholder with company-sponsored securities as part of the sale. B. Disclosing premium discounts available to large group purchasers. C. Returning unearned premiums to the insurer upon policy cancellation. D. Granting underwriting flexibility for applicants with pre-existing conditions. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is providing company-sponsored securities to induce the sale, which is explicitly defined as illegal rebating under Massachusetts law by offering valuable consideration not specified in the policy. Reason B is not correct. Disclosing premium discounts to eligible large groups is a permitted rating disclosure, not a rebate. Reason C is not correct. Returning unearned premiums is a standard premium settlement practice, not an inducement rebate. Reason D is not correct. Underwriting flexibility for medical conditions relates to risk classification, not rebating activities. Question 10. In the context of insurance, risk is best defined as which of the following? A. The potential variability in the timing of premium payments. B. The uncertainty concerning a financial loss that may or may not occur. C. The quantification of investment returns above the expected rate. D. The deliberate harm caused to property to claim benefits. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is the uncertainty concerning a financial loss. Risk in insurance denotes the chance of loss or uncertainty about its occurrence. Reason A is not correct. This option focuses on payment timing rather than uncertainty of loss. Reason C is not correct. This describes potential gains, not the possibility of loss. Reason D is not correct. This involves intentional actions and fraud, not inherent uncertainty of loss. Question 11. Which statement correctly distinguishes pure risk from speculative risk in health insurance? A. Pure risk may result in financial gain, loss, or neither, whereas speculative risk can only result in loss. B. Pure risk involves only the chance of loss or no change, whereas speculative risk includes the possibility of gain. C. Pure risk is voluntarily assumed for profit, while speculative risk is involuntary and unpredictable. D. Pure risk encompasses intentional business ventures, whereas speculative risk pertains exclusively to accidental events. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is that pure risk involves only the chance of loss or no change, whereas speculative risk includes the possibility of gain, aligning with standard insurance definitions. Reason A is not correct. This option reverses the characteristics of each risk type. Reason C is not correct. This mislabels pure risk as a profit-seeking action. Reason D is not correct. This incorrectly swaps the context of accidental versus business ventures. Question 12. An accident and health insurer reviews an application noting these risk factors: occasional reckless driving when commuting, chronic job-related stress due to unpredictable scheduling, and a surgically corrected congenital heart defect from childhood. Which element exemplifies a physical hazard in accident and health insurance? A. Occasional reckless driving when commuting. B. Chronic job-related stress due to unpredictable scheduling. C. History of congenital heart defects surgically corrected in childhood. D. Frequent job turnover due to economic downturns. The correct answer is C. The applicant's congenital heart defect represents a tangible physical condition that increases the likelihood of a future health loss. The other factors reflect behavioral or economic risks rather than inherent physical characteristics. Reason A is not correct. This describes a behavioral choice that increases risk, which is a moral hazard rather than a physical condition. Reason B is not correct. Chronic stress is a psychological or morale-related factor, not a tangible physical hazard. Reason D is not correct. Economic fluctuations affecting employment are external financial risks, not physical hazards. Question 13. Which source of capital is primarily available to a stock health insurer, but not to a mutual health insurer? A. Selling additional shares of corporate stock. B. Assessing policy owners for supplementary contributions. C. Retaining underwriting surplus to shore up reserves. D. Deferring premium income recognition. The correct answer is A. Selling additional shares of corporate stock is the main method stock health insurers use to raise capital. Mutual insurers cannot issue stock. Reason B is not correct. Stock insurers do not assess policy owners. The power to levy assessments is more typical of mutual or cooperative structures. Reason C is not correct. Retained underwriting surplus is a revenue source common to all insurers and not unique to stock companies. Reason D is not correct. Deferring premium income recognition is an accounting practice rather than a capital raising method. Question 14. Which statement is not characteristic of a mutual health insurance company? A. Often raises capital by issuing corporate stock to investors. B. Owned by policy owners who elect the board of directors. C. Issues participating policies that allow policy owners to share in divisible surplus. D. Distributes surplus to policy owners in the form of policy dividends or premium credits. The correct answer is A. Mutual health insurers cannot issue corporate stock. They are owned by policy owners and distribute surplus as dividends or credits to those policy owners. Reason B is not correct. Ownership by policy owners who elect the board distinguishes mutual insurers from stock companies. Reason C is not correct. Participating policies that share divisible surplus are a defining feature of mutual insurers. Reason D is not correct. Surplus distribution to policy owners via dividends or premium credits is characteristic of mutual insurers. Question 15. A fraternal benefit society plans to offer accident and health coverage exclusively to its members in Massachusetts. Under state law, which of the following must the society satisfy before issuing such coverage? A. Obtain an insurer appointment from the commissioner before issuing member coverage. B. Establish and maintain a minimum surplus of $100,000 to support benefit payments. C. Maintain a representative form of government through a lodge system with ritual and fellowship. D. Register annually with the division and remit premium taxes on member assessments. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that fraternal benefit societies must maintain a representative form of government through a lodge system with ritual and fellowship to qualify for offering member-only A and H coverage under Massachusetts law. Reason A is not correct. Obtaining an insurer appointment applies to agents rather than to the society itself, so this requirement does not apply to fraternals. Reason B is not correct. Standard surplus requirements apply to stock and mutual insurers, but fraternal societies are exempt from setting aside a fixed surplus amount. Reason D is not correct. Fraternal benefit societies are exempt from premium taxes on member assessments, so annual tax remittance is not required. Question 16. Which of the following tasks may a licensed health insurance producer perform as an agent of the insurer without obtaining explicit instruction for each action? A. Negotiate and submit policy applications to the insurer. B. Adjudicate and settle insured's claims on behalf of the insurer. C. Establish or adjust premium rates for insurance policies. D. Issue temporary binders and receipts for initial premium payments. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that producers, acting as insurer agents, are empowered to issue binders and premium receipts without needing separate authorization for each issuance. Reason A is not correct. Submitting applications is a solicitation activity, but final policy acceptance remains with the insurer rather than binding coverage. Reason B is not correct. Producers do not have authority to settle claims. Claim adjudication is reserved to the insurer's claims department. Reason C is not correct. Premium rates are set by the insurer or regulatory authority, not by individual producers. Question 17. Under agency principles, which type of authority arises when an insurer's actions lead a third party to reasonably believe that a producer has powers beyond those actually granted? A. Express authority granted through written or verbal instructions. B. Implied authority necessary to carry out expressly granted tasks. C. Apparent authority based on insurer representations to outsiders. D. Statutory authority conferred by state insurance regulations. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is that apparent authority is created when the insurer's conduct or statements cause a reasonable third party to believe the producer holds powers not actually granted. Reason A is not correct. Express authority refers to clearly defined powers given directly by the insurer, not by third-party perception. Reason B is not correct. Implied authority covers acts necessary to fulfill express duties, not those assumed by external belief. Reason D is not correct. Statutory authority arises from law, whereas apparent authority results from the insurer's own representations. Question 18. Which of the following most accurately defines accidental bodily injury as used in accident and health insurance policies? A. Bodily damage that develops gradually from repeated stress. B. Bodily harm resulting from an internal disease process. C. Harm caused intentionally by the insured's actions. D. Harm from an external force that is unintended and not related to disease. The correct answer is D. This option correctly captures the requirement that accidental bodily injury arises from an unintended external force and excludes disease-related harm. Reason A is not correct. Gradual damage from repeated stress is not a sudden, accidental external event. Reason B is not correct. This describes a disease-related harm rather than an accidental external injury. Reason C is not correct. Intentional acts by the insured are excluded because accidental injury must be unintentional. Question 19. Which of the following most precisely defines sickness as a covered peril under health insurance contracts? A. Physical harm due solely to accidental external events, excluding disease. B. Abnormal physical or mental condition, manifested by symptoms requiring medical care. C. A congenital condition present at birth, irrespective of symptom onset. D. A disease or disorder existing before the policy's effective date. The correct answer is B. This option aligns with the policy definition of sickness as an abnormal condition, manifesting symptoms that requires medical treatment. Reason A is not correct. This describes an accident peril rather than the disease-based concept of sickness. Reason C is not correct. Congenital conditions are separate and not automatically covered as sickness perils. Reason D is not correct. Pre-existing conditions are subject to exclusions and not defined as new sickness per se. Question 20. A 42-year-old physical therapist suffers a back injury and returns to work on a limited schedule, earning only 60% of her pre-injury income. Under her disability income policy, which provision will pay benefits based specifically on the percentage reduction in her earnings? A. Recurrent disability benefit. B. Residual disability benefit. C. Guaranteed insurability option. D. Cost of living adjustment rider. The correct answer is B. The residual disability benefit provision pays a proportional benefit based on the percentage loss of earnings when the insured can work, but at reduced capacity. Reason A is not correct. Pays benefits when a disability recurs after return to work, not for ongoing partial income loss. Reason C is not correct. Allows purchase of additional coverage in the future, but does not pay benefits based on lost earnings. Reason D is not correct. Adjusts benefits for inflation over time, but does not calculate payments based on percentage income loss. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below, we read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.